AITA for refusing to cook for my boyfriend after what he did. I 26F love cooking. It's my way of showing love. My boyfriend, Alex 28M, and I have been together for 2 years, and I usually cook for us most nights. He always compliments my food, so I assumed he appreciated it. Last weekend, we had friends over for dinner. I spent hours making a special meal, homemade pasta, slow cook sauce, and a beautiful dessert. Everyone loved it, except Alex. He barely ate and kept making faces. When I asked what was wrong, he said, "Oh, nothing, just, my mom's version is way better. You should ask her for the recipe." The room went silent. Our friends awkwardly laughed, thinking he was joking, but he doubled down, saying my cooking was decent, but not like his mom's. I was furious but didn't want to make a scene. After they left, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and that his mom's cooking is just the best. So, I stopped cooking for him. If he wanted his mom's food so badly, he could go eat there. He thought I was kidding until the next day when I only made food for myself. He got upset and said I was being petty. AITA for refusing to cook for him now? AITA for stealing my grandma's secret recipe and sharing it with the family. My grandma 82F has always been famous in our family for her incredible chocolate chip cookies. She's been making them for decades, but she always refused to share the recipe, saying it was her secret. A few months ago, I 27F spent a weekend with her, and we baked together. I paid close attention to everything she did, her little tricks, the exact measurements she used, and I wrote it all down when she wasn't looking. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just wanted to be able to recreate them. Last week, I made a big batch of cookies for a family gathering, and everyone was shocked at how identical they tasted to Grandma's. My cousins begged me for the recipe, so I shared it in our family group chat. I thought Grandma would be touched, but instead, she playfully scolded me, saying, "You little rascal, you cracked my code." She wasn't actually mad, just pretending to be, and by the end of the night, she was laughing about it. Now, everyone in the family is making her cookies, and she says she loves seeing how much joy they bring. She even joked that maybe it was time she passed the torch anyway. AITA for kissing my ex at a party. I 26F have been with my boyfriend, Jake 27M, for 3 years. Last weekend, I went to a party with my friends. Jake couldn't come because he had work early the next morning. At the party, I ran into my ex, Tyler 28M. We dated years ago, and there's no bad blood between us. We were catching up, laughing about old times, and admittedly I had a little too much to drink. At one point, he leaned in, and I didn't pull away fast enough. It was just a brief kiss, 1 second at most. I immediately backed off and told him it was a mistake. I felt guilty and left the party right after. I didn't tell Jake because I didn't want to hurt him over something that meant nothing. However, one of my friends saw and told him the next day. Jake was furious. He said I cheated and that not telling him right away was even worse. I apologized and explained it meant nothing, but he's been distant since. My friends are split. Some say it was just a drunk mistake. Others think I was completely in the wrong. AITA?
AITA for not forgiving my fiancé after he technically didn't cheat. I 27F have been engaged to my fiancé, Ryan 29M, for a year. We've been together for 4 years, and I thought we had a solid relationship built on trust. That all changed a few weeks ago. Ryan went on a bachelor trip for his best friend. It was a typical Vegas weekend, clubbing, drinking, the whole thing. I had no issues with it because I trusted him. But then, one of my friends sent me a video from another girl's Instagram story. In it, Ryan was at a club, and a woman was sitting on his lap while he had his hands around her waist. I confronted him as soon as he got home. He swore up and down that it wasn't what it looked like. According to him, one of his friends had invited a group of women to their VIP table. He said she sat on his lap for like 2 seconds and that he was just being polite because it would have been awkward to push her off. He claims he didn't touch her inappropriately and that he never kissed her or did anything physical. I asked him why he didn't tell me about this himself if it was so innocent, and he got defensive, saying, "Because I knew you'd react like this." That made me even angrier. To me, the issue wasn't just what happened but the fact that he hid it. I told him I needed space to think. He's been apologizing nonstop, saying he'd never cheat, that he loves me, and that I'm overreacting. Even some of our mutual friends think I'm blowing this out of proportion because he didn't actually cheat, but I feel like my trust is broken. I don't know if I can marry someone who thinks this kind of thing is okay. AITA for refusing to forgive him.
AITA for wanting my ex back after cheating on him. I 27F was in a relationship with my ex, Jake 29M, for 5 years. He was the most loving, loyal, and patient person I'd ever met. We had a great relationship, but I started feeling like I was missing out on something more exciting. I let my friends get in my head about how I should explore before settling down. Long story short, I cheated on him with a coworker. It was a one-time thing, but the guilt ate me alive. I confessed, thinking maybe he'd forgive me since it didn't mean anything. Instead, he calmly packed his things and left, saying, "If I wasn't enough, you should have just told me." It's been a year, and I regret everything. The exciting life I thought I wanted feels empty. I realize that no one has ever loved or cared for me like Jake did. I tried reaching out, apologizing, even begging for another chance, but he refuses to speak to me. Our mutual friends say he's dating someone new and seems happy. Now, I'm stuck wondering AITA for wanting him back after I destroyed everything. AITA for not making my bed when my meal visits. My mother-in-law is extremely particular about cleanliness and insists that a made bed is a sign of good upbringing. My husband and I don't really care about making the bed every day. It's our house, our rules. She visited recently and made a comment about how adults should know better. I laughed it off, but later, I found out she made our bed herself while we were out. I told her she didn't have to do that, but she said she was teaching by example. Now she keeps dropping hints that I'm lazy. My husband says to ignore her, but I feel like I should say something. AITA for refusing to make my bed just because she's visiting?
AITA for embarrassing my coworker after she kept stealing my ideas. I work in marketing, and for the past year, my coworker Emily has been taking credit for my ideas. Every time I casually mentioned something in a brainstorming session, she would later present it in a meeting as if it were her own. Our boss always praised her, while I sat there quietly, knowing my work was being stolen. When I confronted her, she brushed it off, saying teamwork meant sharing ideas. I decided to teach her a lesson. Before our big quarterly meeting, I casually mentioned a fake campaign idea near her, something completely absurd, a luxury dog perfume brand with gold-plated collars. Just as I expected, she pitched it in the meeting with full confidence. Our boss looked confused and asked for supporting data. Emily stammered, clearly unprepared. I stayed quiet for a moment before finally speaking up, explaining that I had initially considered the idea, but scrapped it because it was completely unrealistic. I then presented my actual, well-researched idea, which the team loved. Emily turned red, and our boss finally caught on to what had been happening. Now she barely speaks to me, and some coworkers think I was too harsh. AITA
for getting revenge on my coworker who kept stealing my lunch. For months, my coworker, Lisa, had been stealing my lunch from the office fridge. I tried everything, labeling it, putting notes on it, even confronting her directly. She always played dumb, saying, "Oh, I thought it was up for grabs," or "Are you sure you brought lunch today?" HR was useless, saying they couldn't do much without proof, so I decided to get creative. One night, I made a delicious-looking pasta, but this time, I loaded it with ghost pepper sauce so spicy it could bring tears to a grown man's eyes. I packed it up nicely and left it in the fridge the next morning. Sure enough, lunchtime rolls around, and Lisa takes the bait. 5 minutes later, I hear coughing and gagging from her desk. Her face turned red. She was sweating, chugging water, and within seconds, she bolted to the bathroom. Later, she stormed up to me furious, saying I had poisoned her. She even ran to HR, but I just shrugged and said, "Oh, I didn't realize someone else was eating my food. Double quotes. HR couldn't do anything because, well, she basically confessed to stealing my lunch. She never touched my food again." AITA for leaving my friend at a restaurant after she kept making fun of my job. I 26F have been working as a florist for the past 3 years. I absolutely love my job, and while it's not the most high-paying career, it's fulfilling and allows me to be creative. My friend Emma 27F works in finance and has always been a bit judgmental about my career choices, but I usually brush it off. Last weekend, Emma and I went out for dinner. Right from the start, she kept making comments like, "Must be nice to play with flowers all day," and "I don't know how you survive on that paycheck." I tried laughing it off, but she kept going, even joking that my job was basically a hobby for rich housewives. I finally had enough when she said, "Maybe one day you'll get a real job." I calmly told her that if she thought so little of my career, I didn't see the point in continuing dinner. I paid my part of the bill, got up, and left her there. She texted me later, calling me dramatic and saying I embarrassed her. My other friends are split. Some say she was rude, but others think I overreacted by walking out. So AITA for not inviting my sister to my wedding. I 27F didn't invite my sister, Emma 29F, to my wedding because she has a history of making my big moments about her. She announced her engagement at my graduation, her pregnancy at my birthday, and even wore white to my engagement party. The final straw, last year, at a family gathering, she suddenly announced. Jake and I used to date before he met my sister. It turned out they had gone on to dates years ago, but she made it sound like a scandal. Now she's furious she's not invited, and my parents think I'm being petty. AITA? AITA for not letting my friend propose at my wedding. At my wedding, my friend's boyfriend, Jake, asked if he could propose to her during the reception. I told him no, I wanted the day to be about my husband and me. He seemed to accept that. But during the reception, he got down on one knee in the middle of the dance floor. Everyone gasped, and my maid of honor quickly announced the cake cutting to shift focus. Claire, his girlfriend, looked shocked and uncomfortable. Afterward, I told Jake he was out of line. He shrugged it off, saying, "Weddings are about love." Now he's telling people I overreacted. AITA for being upset? AITA for taking the free bread? I work at a nail salon, and every so often, I like to grab some bread from a bakery a few blocks away for lunch. I've gotten to know the people there, and today, one of them dropped off 2 loaves of their amazing raisin bread just for me. Since I was the only one working, I decided to take 1 loaf home. No one else at my job really knows the people at the bakery, so I figured it wasn't a big deal. But now I'm second guessing myself. Was it wrong to keep a loaf for myself instead of leaving it at work for others? I don't think anyone expected to get any, but I still can't shake the feeling that I might have been selfish. AITA?